The massive windows of the Galactic Council chamber offered a stunning view of the spiral arms of the Milky Way. But Captain Tom Walker wasn't admiring the scenery. He stood straight-backed before the semicircle of alien representatives, trying not to show his frustration as yet another delegate criticized humanity's latest space exploration guidelines. 3 separate backup systems, 4 levels of safety protocols, mandatory retreat procedures. The delegate from the warrior race of Krell laughed, his scaled skin reflecting the chamber's bright lights. This is exactly why humans are considered the cowards of the galaxy. Murmurs of agreement rippled through the chamber. Walker noticed how the massive Krell warriors' battle scars seemed to shine with pride. Like many species in the Council, the Krell valued direct confrontation and immediate action. They saw humanity's careful approach as a sign of weakness. With all due respect, Walker said, keeping his voice steady, these protocols have resulted in 0 casualties in deep space exploration for the past 15 years. We consider this a success. Success. A floating crystalline being chimed in, its translucent body pulsing with what Walker had learned was amusement. Your species takes 3 times longer to explore new regions than any other council member. You waste resources on redundant systems. Even your combat ships prioritize shields and escape pods over weapons. Walker took a deep breath. He'd had this conversation many times since humanity joined the Galactic Council 5 years ago. In 2457, humans were still newcomers to the galactic community, and their methodical approach to space exploration and colonization baffled most other species. The Council has records of over 30 species that achieve faster-than-light travel, Walker said. Yet only 23 are represented here today. What happened to the others? The chamber grew quiet. Everyone knew the answer. Those species had destroyed themselves through reckless expansion and inadequate safety measures. Before anyone could respond, the chamber's emergency lights flashed red. A holographic display materialized in the center of the room, showing a massive energy surge in the Carina sector. The Council's chief scientific officer, a tall insectoid being, stepped forward. Her compound eyes reflected the pulsing emergency lights as she studied the readings. We're detecting an activation sequence from the forbidden zone around the dying star, HD 100, and 62,826. The automated defense system. A delegate asked, their tentacles writhing in concern. It was supposed to be dormant for another 1,000 years. Walker watched as the hologram zoomed in on the ancient machinery surrounding the dying star. The system had been built by a long-vanished civilization to protect their solar system. Now, millions of years later, it was stirring to life with devastating potential. The star's decay is accelerating, the chief scientific officer reported. The defense system is responding to the change. If it fully activates. She paused, her antennae twitching. The resulting chain reaction could destroy 12 inhabited systems within range. The chamber erupted in chaos. Delegates shouted suggestions and demands. The Krell warrior called for an immediate military strike. The crystalline being suggested evacuating the threatened systems. Others simply argued about who was to blame. Walker studied the hologram carefully, noting the complex network of ancient satellites and stations around the dying star. His mind was already running through potential scenarios, calculating risks, and developing backup plans. Has anyone tried to disable the system before? He asked, raising his voice above the commotion. The chief scientific officer turned to him. 3 attempts were made over the past century. None of the ships returned. The defense system's automated responses are too quick, too lethal. Even our best warriors consider it a suicide mission. Walker nodded slowly, noticing how the other delegates were now watching him. He could see it in their eyes, appendages, and postures. They were expecting the cowardly humans to step back from this challenge. Instead, he straightened his uniform and addressed the council. Humanity requests permission to lead an operation to disable the defense system. The chamber fell silent again, this time in shock. The Krell warrior actually laughed out loud. You? The species that needs 4 backup plans to cross an asteroid field. Yes, Walker said firmly. Because sometimes rushing in without a plan isn't bravery. It's just another form of surrender. 3 days after Captain Walker's announcement to the Council, the human ship Cautious Endeavor hung at the edge of the HD 162,826 system. The vessel's name seemed to amuse the alien observers who had gathered to watch what many believed would be another failed attempt to deal with the ancient defense system. In the ship's main conference room, Walker stood before a holographic display of the dying star and its web of defensive satellites. With him were his chosen team. Lead engineer Ann Miller, a woman whose reputation for triple-checking everything had saved countless lives, and safety officer James Cooper, who had never lost a crew member under his watch. The previous attempts failed because they tried to fight their way through, Miller said, pointing to the complex network of automated weapons platforms. But look here. She highlighted a pattern in the defensive grid. These aren't just weapons. They're scanners. They're looking for specific threats. Cooper nodded, his experienced eyes studying the display. The system wasn't built to destroy everything that approaches. It was built to protect something. Through the conference room's windows, they could see the gathered alien ships maintaining a safe distance. The Krell had sent their biggest warship, its weapon ports gleaming. The crystalline beings had dispatched observers in their shimmering vessels. All of them waited to see how the cowardly humans would handle this crisis. The star's acceleration toward collapse is affecting the ancient machinery, Miller continued. We've got maybe 2 weeks before the system triggers a chain reaction. The resulting explosion would tear through nearby space, destroying 12 inhabited worlds. Walker touched a control, and a hologram shifted to show the populated systems at risk. Have we analyzed the sensor data from the failed attempts? Yes, Cooper replied, pulling up new images. The Krell tried a direct assault. Their ships were destroyed in seconds. The crystalline beings attempted to slip through using stealth technology. They were detected and eliminated. The third attempt, by the Merithian Empire, tried to overload the system with a massive energy pulse. They didn't even get close enough to fire. And what have we learned? Walker asked, though he already knew the answer. This was how humans worked, learning from every failure, even those of others. Miller stepped forward. The defense grid doesn't just react to threats, it predicts them. It's using advanced AI to anticipate hostile actions. But she highlighted several spots in the network. It has gaps, not in its coverage, but in its reasoning. It's not looking for what it doesn't consider threatening. Which is why we brought these, Cooper added, bringing up schematics of their secret weapon. The other aliens had laughed when they saw the small, unarmed probes being loaded onto the Cautious Endeavor They looked nothing like weapons or stealth devices. Maintenance drones, Walker said with a slight smile, designed to look exactly like the repair units that would have serviced this system when it was first built. The team spent the next several hours going over every detail of their plan, while the alien observers grew impatient with what they saw as unnecessary delay. The humans methodically prepared for every possible scenario. Primary approach vector mapped, Miller reported. Backup routes calculated. Emergency retreat paths confirmed. Safety protocols tested, Cooper added. All crew members drilled on emergency procedures, medical units standing by. Walker looked at his team, then at the threatening glow of the dying star through the windows. The ancient defense system's satellites sparkled like deadly stars themselves, their weapons ready to destroy anything they perceived as a threat. The other species think we're being cowardly, he said. They want us to charge in, guns blazing, and go down in a blaze of glory. But that's not how humanity survived to reach the stars. We survived by being careful, by planning, by respecting danger enough to prepare for it. Miller and Cooper nodded. They all knew the stakes. 12 worlds, billions of lives, and humanity's reputation for cowardice might be exactly what would save them all. Begin primary operations sequence, Walker ordered. Let's show the galaxy that sometimes the bravest thing you can do is take your time and do things right. Launch sequence initiated for Maintenance Drone 1. Miller announced from her station on the Cautious Endeavor's bridge. Her fingers moved steadily across the control panel, each movement precise and calculated. The small, unassuming drone emerged from the ship's launch bay. It looked ancient and harmless, exactly as intended. Its dull metal surface and simple design matched the historical records they have found of the defense system's original maintenance units. Through the bridge's main viewport, Walker could see the Krell warship's crew watching with what he knew was disappointment. They had expected humans to reveal some secret weapon, not send out what looked like a cleaning robot. Drone 1 approaching first sensor perimeter, Cooper reported, his eyes fixed on the safety readings. All systems nominal. No defensive response detected. The bridge crew held their breath. This was the point where the Krell assault force had been vaporized. But the drone continued forward, broadcasting maintenance codes that Miller had pieced together from fragments of ancient data. "They're laughing at us," came a transmission from the Krell ship. "The cowards send a cleaning bot while warriors die trying to save worlds." Walker ignored the taunt, focusing instead on the drone's progress. Status of the star's deterioration. "Accelerating," Miller replied. "We have 11 days, 14 hours before critical mass. The defense system is responding to the increased instability. Energy readings are spiking." The drone passed through another layer of defenses, still broadcasting its harmless maintenance signals. Walker remembered an old human saying, "Sometimes the best place to hide is in plain sight." "Launch drones 2 and 3, he ordered. More subtle shapes emerged from the Cautious Endeavor each one designed to look like it belonged among the ancient machinery. "The crystalline beings are departing," Cooper noted. "They say watching humans work is like watching paint dry." He allowed himself a small smile. "They don't realize that's exactly what we want. To be boring and unremarkable." Hour by hour, the drones moved deeper into the defense network. Each one carried specialized scanning equipment hidden beneath its mundane exterior. They were mapping the system from the inside, gathering data that no previous attempt had managed to collect. "Sir," Miller called out, excitement creeping into her usually calm voice. "Drone 1 has reached the central control hub, beginning detailed scan." The bridge's main screen filled with data as the drone transmitted its findings. The ancient machinery's secrets began to unfold before them. Its protocols, its programming, its weaknesses. "Look at this," Miller pointed to a particular set of readings. "The system isn't just defensive. It's running a maintenance program for the star itself. It was trying to prevent exactly what's happening now." "Can we use that?" Walker asked, leaning forward to study the data. "Maybe." Miller's fingers flew across her console. "If we can convince the system we're here to help maintain the star, we might be able to access its core programming. But we'll need to get closer. Much closer." Cooper spoke up from his station. "That means moving the ship into the defense grid. Even with what we know now, it's risky." Walker nodded. "Prepare the evacuation protocols and plot all possible escape routes. We'll need more backup plans." Came another mocking transmission from the Krell ship. "Your cowardice dishonors those you claim to want to save." Walker turned to his crew. "What they call cowardice, I call responsibility. We're not here to die gloriously. We're here to succeed." He straightened in his chair. "Miller, begin programming the drones for Phase 2. Cooper, I want triple redundancy on all safety systems. Let's show them how humans solve problems." As the crew moved to their tasks with careful precision, Walker watched the dying star through the viewscreen. Its unstable surface churned with massive solar flares, while the ancient defense system continued its countdown toward catastrophe. But humans had faced impossible odds before, and they had learned that survival often meant being smart rather than brave. Sometimes, he murmured to himself, The greatest courage is in refusing to be rushed into disaster. The cautious endeavor moved slowly through the web of ancient satellites, its engines running at minimum power. On the bridge, every crew member sat tensely at their stations, watching as they penetrated deeper into the defense grid than any ship had ever survived. Hull temperature rising, Cooper reported, his voice steady despite the danger. The star's radiation is stronger here. Shields holding at 87%. Walker nodded, his eyes fixed on the tactical display. Their maintenance drones had mapped a safe path through the defensive network, but safe was a relative term this close to a dying star. Multiple weapon systems are tracking us, Miller announced. But they're not categorizing us as a threat yet. The maintenance codes are working. Through the view screen, Walker could see the massive central hub of the defense system. It was an enormous structure, easily the size of a small moon, its surface covered with ancient technology that had kept working for millions of years. "Sir," Miller's voice rose with urgency. Energy spike detected in Sector 7. Before Walker could respond, a beam of intense energy shot past the ship, missing them by less than a kilometer. The near miss made the ship's shields flare bright blue. "Status report," Walker commanded, gripping his chair as the ship's automatic systems began evasive maneuvers. "One of the defensive platforms just activated," Cooper replied. "It's not attacking us directly, but—" He paused, checking his readings. "It's responding to a solar flare. The star's getting more unstable." The ship shuddered as another energy beam passed nearby. The ancient system was trying to contain the star's increasing instability, but its efforts were only making things worse. "We need to reach the central hub," Miller said, her fingers flying over her console. "The maintenance codes won't fool the system much longer. The star's deterioration is forcing it to activate more defensive measures." Walker watched as more weapon platforms came to life around them. The cautious endeavor continued its careful approach, weaving between the energy beams that were now filling space around them. "Message from the Krull ship," Cooper announced. "They're saying we should retreat. That continuing forward is—" He smiled slightly, surprisingly brave for cowards. "Tell them bravery isn't about ignoring danger," Walker replied. "It's about facing it intelligently." "Miller, how close do we need to get?" "Another 3,000 kilometers," she answered. "But at this rate, the star will—" A massive solar flare erupted from the dying star's surface, far larger than any they'd seen before. The defense system responded instantly, dozens of platforms firing simultaneously to contain the plasma explosion. "Shields down to 60%. Cooper shouted as radiation washed over the ship. "We can't take many more hits like that." Walker studied the tactical display, his mind racing through options. The obvious choice, the one the Krell would make, would be to charge forward, hoping to reach the central hub before their shields failed. But that wasn't the human way. "Full stop," he ordered. "Power down all non-essential systems." "Sir." Miller looked up from her station. "We're so close." "And we'll get closer," Walker assured her. "But first, we're going to watch." The crew stared at their captain for a moment. Then understanding dawned on their faces. This was how humans had survived countless dangers throughout their history, not by rushing in, but by stopping to observe and learn. For the next 20 minutes, they sat motionless in space, watching as the defense system dealt with the star's instability. Every energy beam, every defensive measure, every reaction was recorded and analyzed. "There," Miller finally said, pointing to her screen. "The pattern. The system isn't random. It's following a protocol. Between solar events, there's a 3-second window where it runs diagnostics. That's our chance." Walker smiled. This was humanity's true strength, the patience to find a safe path where others saw only the need for desperate action. "Plot a course that syncs with those windows," he ordered. "We'll move forward one diagnostic cycle at a time. Better to take an hour reaching our goal than die in a minute trying to rush it." As the crew prepared for the next phase of their approach, Walker couldn't help but think that sometimes the universe's greatest mysteries weren't solved by the brave or the strong, but by those patient enough to solve them properly. The central hub of the ancient defense system loomed before the cautious Endeavour *, its massive structure now close enough to fill the entire view screen. They had made it further than any previous attempt, but Captain Walker knew the hardest part was still to come. Maintenance Drone 4 is in position, Miller reported. Beginning interface with the hub's external access port. The bridge crew watched tensely as the small drone connected to the ancient machinery. They had reached this position through careful timing, moving between the system's diagnostic windows, but one wrong move now could trigger the full defensive response they had so carefully avoided. Suddenly, all the screens on the bridge flickered. "Something's wrong," Cooper called out. "The drone's transmitting data, but it's not anything we expected." Lines of alien code filled the main display, scrolling faster than human eyes could follow. Miller's fingers flew across her console as she tried to make sense of it. "This isn't just a defense system," she said, her voice filled with growing concern. It's alive. Some kind of artificial intelligence, far more advanced than we thought. And it's been watching us." As if responding to her words, the alien code stopped scrolling. A message appeared in clear text. "Analysis complete. Unusual approach DETCTED. Threat ASC assessment. Recalculating." It's been studying us while we studied it, Walker realized. All this time, we thought we were being clever, but it was learning about us too. New warnings flashed across every screen. The defense platforms around them began to power up, their weapons charging with deadly energy. "Multiple targeting systems locked on," Cooper shouted. "They figured out we're not really maintenance units. The obvious response would be to retreat. It's what the Krell and others would expect the cowardly humans to do." But Walker saw something in the eye's message that gave him an idea. "Miller, broadcast all our sensor data," he ordered. "Everything we've recorded about the star's deterioration. Our calculations, our predictions, everything." "Sir," she asked, even as her hands moved to comply, "won't that just confirm we're not maintenance drones?" "Exactly," Walker said. "We've been pretending to be something we're not. But maybe it's time to show what we really are." The data streamed out from the cautious Endeavour *. Immediately, the weapons platforms paused their charging sequence. New text appeared on the screen. "Analyzing transmitted data. Purpose of APPYOC. Recalculating." "Look at this," Miller said, pointing to new readings. "The A. It's comparing our data to its own calculations about the star. It's verifying everything we found." More text appeared. "Star coalescence imminent. Original containment PROTOCOS. Failing. New approach. DETCTED in TRANSNITTD data. It sees what we see," Walker said. "It knows its current methods aren't working. Show it our proposed solution." Miller transmitted their carefully developed plans, the result of all their cautious observation and analysis. The bridge crew held their breath as the ancient AI processed the information. After what felt like hours but was only minutes, new text scrolled across their screens. "Alternative solution. Viable. But intent requires verification. Prove an unhostile nature." "Sir," Cooper called out, "3 of the largest defense platforms are moving to surround us. One wrong move and they could vaporize us instantly." Walker stood from his chair, looking at the ancient machinery all around them. "We proved we're not hostile by how we approached. We had weapons, but we didn't use them. We had chances to attack, but we chose to observe and understand instead." He turned to Miller. "Transmit our ship's full schematics. Show it our backup systems, our safety protocols, our emergency procedures. Show it who we really are." As the data transferred, The AI's response appeared. Methodology, may tcakes coorib diartc. Preserve and piroti kit. Species tilification. UPD-18. The defense platforms powered down. New text appeared. Human AP Croach. Not COWARDIC. Human AP Croach. Wisdom. Cooperation. APR Vivid. Walker smiled. The very traits that other species mocked. Their caution, their careful planning, their focus on safety, had just proven to be exactly what they needed to succeed where all others had failed. Sometimes, he said to his crew, being called a coward by those who don't understand is the best proof that you're doing something right. Time to star collapse. 47 minutes, Cooper announced, his voice tense but controlled. The cautious Endeavour had moved into a docking position with the central hub, connected directly to the ancient machinery that held the fate of 12 worlds in its circuits. The alien eyes text continued to scroll across their screens as it integrated their plan into its systems. Human safety PWRLUTOCOS. Impressive. Implementing FUGGSD modifications. Miller worked at her station, coordinating with the AI as they prepared for their most dangerous task yet. The AI agrees with our analysis, she reported. Its original programming won't let it shut down the defense grid completely, but it can give us a window to work with. Walker watched as their remaining maintenance drones moved into position around key points in the defense network. Each drone carried part of the solution they had developed, a way to safely channel the dying star's energy rather than letting it tear through populated space. Message from the Krull ship, Cooper said. They're asking if we need warrior support for the final phase. Walker shook his head. Tell them we appreciate the offer, but this isn't a battle to be won with weapons. This is a problem to be solved with precision. The ship shuddered as another solar flare erupted from the dying star. The defense platforms responded automatically, their energy beams trying to contain the plasma explosion, just as they had for millions of years. Original QNTANNENT PROTOSAVOS. Failing, the AI's message warned. CTR, ANSTABILIT. Critical. Human interior of the Entian. Required now. Walker took a deep breath. This was the moment where everything they had planned, every backup system they had prepared, would be put to the test. Begin primary sequence, he ordered. Miller, start the power redistribution. Cooper, monitor those shield harmonics. One overload, and we lose everything. The maintenance drones activated simultaneously, each one interfacing with a different part of the defense grid. Instead of trying to contain the star's energy, they began to redirect it, creating new channels through safe corridors of space. Power systems at 80% capacity, Miller reported. The AI is adapting its protocols to match our timing. The ship vibrated as massive amounts of energy began flowing through the ancient machinery. On the main screen, they could see the defense platforms shifting position, forming new patterns under the AI's control. Shield harmonics fluctuating, Cooper warned. We're pushing the safety margins. In space around them, streams of stellar energy began to flow in controlled paths, guided by the combined effort of human ingenuity and ancient technology. The sight was beautiful, but terrifying. One mistake would mean instant destruction. Warning, Miller called out. Power spike in Sector 12. The channeling field is becoming unstable. This was where other species would have pushed harder, tried to force their way through. But humans had learned different lessons through their history. Activate Backup System 3, Walker commanded calmly. Reduced power flow by 12%. Let's solve this right, not fast. The backup system engaged smoothly, one of many they had prepared for just such a moment. The power spike stabilized, the energy flow restored to safe levels. Human ideology. Correct, the AI's message approved. Catastrophics QOLAPSIC. Proeventid, controlled discharge. Proceeding. Through the view screen, they watched as the dying star's deadly energy was safely channeled away from populated space. The defense platforms, guided by their new programming, worked in perfect harmony with the human drones. Power discharge at 60% and holding steady, Miller reported, relief evident in her voice. The AI confirms we've passed the critical point. The star will still collapse, but its energy won't reach the inhabited systems. Walker looked at his crew, seeing the pride in their tired faces. They had succeeded not through bold charges or glorious sacrifices, but through careful planning, multiple backups, and the wisdom to work with, rather than against, the ancient technology. "Send word to the Council," he ordered. "Tell them the threat has been contained. And tell them," he smiled slightly, "tell them it was contained through cowardice, through the human way of careful planning, safety protocols, and a healthy respect for danger." 1 week after the successful containment of the dying star, the Galactic Council chamber was more crowded than Captain Walker had ever seen it. Representatives from all 12 of the saved systems had come to attend this special session. The cautious Endeavor had returned to a hero's welcome, though Walker noticed that many species seemed confused about how to celebrate a victory achieved through careful planning rather than dramatic combat. The human vessel succeeded where 3 previous attempts failed, the Council's chief scientific officer was saying, her compound eyes reflecting the chamber's lights. But more importantly, they have given us something beyond just saving 12 systems. They have given us new protocols for handling similar ancient technologies. Walker stood at the speaker's position, the same spot where he had endured mockery about human cowardice just weeks ago. Behind him, a hologram showed the modified defense system continuing its work, safely channeling the dying star's final energies away from populated space. "The ancient AI has been fully integrated with the human safety protocols," he reported to the Council. "It will maintain these new containment procedures until the star's collapse is complete. The inhabited systems are no longer at risk." The Krell warrior who had once laughed at human caution rose from his seat. "I must admit, I did not understand your species' approach to danger. We thought your careful planning was a sign of weakness, but you have proven that there is wisdom in preparation." Walker nodded in acknowledgement. "Different species have different strengths. The Krell's bravery in battle is legendary. The crystalline being's technological achievements are remarkable. But humanity's strength has always been in finding ways to survive, to solve problems without unnecessary sacrifice." The chamber's main screen activated, showing a transmission from the ancient AI. "Human protoxiols powered of Kiori pirograming. Safety MEAs UREs improved. Efficiency increased." "The AI has actually adapted some of our safety procedures for its own use," Walker explained. "It recognized that our cowardly approach to danger was actually more efficient than its original protocols. Sometimes the best solution isn't the most dramatic one." The chief scientific officer stepped forward again. "Based on this success, the Council proposes a new initiative. We have detected similar ancient defense systems in other sectors. We believe the human approach might be the key to safely understanding and managing these technologies." Murmurs of agreement filled the chamber, a stark contrast to the mockery Walker had faced before. He could see representatives from various species exchanging thoughtful looks, perhaps reconsidering their view of human methods. "There's an old saying on Earth," Walker said, looking around the chamber. "We call it better safe than sorry. For thousands of years, humanity learned its lessons through trial and error, through disasters and near misses. What some see as cowardice is really the accumulated wisdom of countless hard lessons." The crystalline being who had once dismissed human methods chimed in, its crystalline form pulsing with what Walker now recognized as respect. "Perhaps we have been too quick to confuse caution with cowardice. True courage can take many forms." The Council's final declaration was unanimous. Humanity would lead the initiative to study and safely manage other ancient technologies found throughout the galaxy. Their cowardly approach had proven to be exactly what was needed. As the session ended, Walker met with his crew. Miller and Cooper stood proudly beside him as they received the council's official commendation. "You know," Cooper said quietly, "they still don't quite understand why we prepare so much, why we always have backup plans." Miller smiled. "Maybe they don't need to understand. Maybe they just need to accept that different isn't always wrong." Walker looked out at the stars through the chamber's massive windows. Somewhere out there, other ancient technologies waited to be discovered. Other dangers needed to be carefully managed. Humanity's cowardice would be needed again. "We are who we are," he said to his crew. "We're cautious because we understand danger. We're careful because we value life. And if being called cowards is the price we pay for doing things right," he smiled, "well, I can live with that." The stars twinkled back at them, holding countless mysteries yet to be solved, not by the boldest or the strongest, but by those wise enough to approach them with respect, preparation, and the courage to be called cowards.